The Pope's final words were released by Vatican officials this morning. They were said to his personal nurse, who helped the Pope make a surprise appearance on Easter Sunday, shortly before his death. "Thank you for bringing me back to the square," he said.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Unboundful. We noticed that some of our viewers are not yet subscribed. If you enjoy faith-based content that uplifts and inspires, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Unboundful. Your support helps us reach more hearts with the love of Christ. On April 21st, 2025, the world mourned the passing of Pope Francis, a global spiritual leader whose legacy was built on humility, compassion, and a deep love for the poor and marginalized. In his final moments, he turned to his healthcare assistant and simply said, "Thank you for bringing me back to the square." These words, though few, reflected his gratitude for one last moment among the people, one final expression of presence and service. Pope Francis was born Jorge Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. The son of Italian immigrants, he worked as a chemical technician and even as a nightclub bouncer before discovering his calling to the priesthood. He entered the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, in 1958 and was ordained a priest in 1969. Known for his humility, he chose to live in a simple apartment rather than the Archbishop's palace while serving as the Archbishop of Buenos Aires. On March 13, 2013, at the age of 76, he was elected as the 266th Pope of the Catholic Church, the first Jesuit Pope, the first from the Americas, and the first to choose the name Francis. Pope Francis' final words weren't about status or legacy. They were about humility and thankfulness. His simple "thank you" to his assistant was a reflection of his entire papacy, putting others first and showing gratitude in even the smallest moments. Philippians 2 verse 3 reminds us, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility value others above yourselves." His entire life pointed toward Christ's example of servant leadership. When he became Pope, he chose the name Francis after Saint Francis of Assisi, a man known for his love for the poor, for nature, and for peace. Saint Francis of Assisi, born in 1181 in Italy, gave up his family's wealth to follow Christ radically. He preached to animals, lived in simplicity, and loved the marginalized. His life's mission? To imitate Christ in poverty, humility, and joy. Pope Francis embraced that same spirit in modern times. Often described as a Pope of the people, he rode in simple cars, washed the feet of prisoners, and constantly reminded the Church to care for the poor. In today's world, mental health struggles like anxiety, depression, and isolation are on the rise. Pope Francis understood the emotional and spiritual burdens people face. His papacy often addressed the silent suffering of many, offering messages of comfort, healing, and mercy. In Matthew 11 verse 28, Jesus says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Pope Francis echoed that promise. He reminded us that our worth is not in what we do, but in who we are as God's beloved children. Despite personal health issues and criticism, Pope Francis stood as a symbol of hope, healing, and unity. He bridged divides, reached out to the marginalized, and always pointed the world back to Jesus. Romans 15 verse 13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him." Pope Francis lived that verse, not just with words, but in action. In a divided and broken world, he reminded us that peace is possible, love is stronger, and God is always near. Pope Francis' final words may have been simple, but their meaning was profound. His life, from Buenos Aires to the Vatican, was a testament to living out the gospel with grace and courage. Let us carry on his legacy by serving others, staying humble, and holding on to hope. And always remember, with God, anything is possible.